Welcome to Tuesday, the second day of January 2024, your Day Weather Podcast, brought to you by Hot Springs County Travel and Tourism, reminding you that as temperatures drop and snow is on the horizon at Thermopolis, you can always find yourself in hot water. Well, we're going to want some hot water in about 4 or 5 days, as it will certainly be a lot different by late this weekend, especially by the weekend and into next week across the West. Changes are coming, but in the short term, we're still going to have fairly quiet weather, as high pressure will still be over the Rockies today into the day on Tuesday, but we're going to see areas of rain and snow across parts of California, Arizona, New Mexico, into parts of Kansas, southern Colorado, New Mexico. A weak system moving through those areas today and tomorrow, while the central and northern Rockies are generally going to continue to be fair and quiet. Now, a disorganized West Coast storm does affect the region late Thursday into Friday. This will bring snow back to the mountains of the Intermountain West. Also, those southern areas again, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, and into parts of West Texas, rain and snow will move in. The northern part of that system will get parts of the central and northern Rockies, but it's not a terribly put together system. So what we're likely going to see is lighter amounts of moisture, but it is going to instigate bigger changes down the road, which means much colder weather by the weekend, another storm system coming by the weekend, especially late Saturday and the Sunday. Much colder air and better snow chances will be associated with that system, and this long-term change that we have been talking about over the last several days continues to be on the horizon, really getting going this weekend, and the cold air really covering not only a lot of the West, but eventually a lot of the nation, if not most of it, by next week and beyond. Lots of high and mid-level clouds over the weekend, little else going on, but you can see we had some optical effects, lots of sundog activity across the region with those high clouds all across the Rockies and the Western High Plains. The moose out for New Year's Day in North Park, Colorado. Now, as we take a look at where we are, we can see a lot of clear skies across the Intermountain West. This is the low I talked about, the weak one that's going across the southern areas today. Here's the next storm system approaching the West Coast and moving in. There you can see it on the 500 millibar chart. Then as we get into Friday, this is Friday morning, that low right here that you saw in the satellite imagery off the Washington-Oregon coast makes a fairly quick track all the way down to here by Friday. So this is today's map. This is by Friday. So it's sort of put together, but not really well organized, but enough to bring a slug of moisture, allow some colder air in from the northwest, and it is going to boost a little bit of weather in the west. This will be especially true Thursday late into Friday. And here it is. This is the precipitation forecast from today through Friday evening. So you can see moisture does get further eastward into the Rockies and the Great Basin. We're going to see some snow down here in Arizona, the southern plains areas. Finally, a little bit of snow getting into western Wyoming, southern mountains, the western areas here. Again, it's not going to be anything heavy, as you can see by the snowfall forecast. But for you folks down in New Mexico, southern Colorado, and Kansas, well, you're going to get a little bit of weather with this system in that Thursday, Friday time frame. So travelers down there, I-25, I-40, then I-15 here, then I-80 across Utah and Nevada. Not a big winter storm, but enough to really change things up from where they've been. Then things get a bit more interesting. This is by late Saturday. Now, as we talk about in this podcast all the time, when you put a high-pressure ridge in the eastern Pacific and you keep it there, that opens the door to Canada to allow that cold air to come on in. And boy, will it ever. This is by late Sunday. So this is by late Saturday. Late Sunday, the Arctic opens up. If you look at the flow of air coming into the west, it's coming straight out of the very high latitudes and coming into both sides of the divide. Look at that northerly flow into California here. So basically, the dam breaks and Arctic air begins to intrude. basically, this is a 180 from where we've been here lately. And there that Arctic air starts to really come in, especially by the middle to the end of the weekend. Now, this is the snow and the precipitation that will come in over the weekend into Monday of next week. It's nothing really heavy, and this is typical in Arctic outbreaks. Arctic air doesn't have a lot of moisture to begin with in it. The colder the air, the less water can be held by the air. So you don't tend to get big snow amounts, but it will generally snow over a large area. So this is the second round of precipitation that comes. This is mainly going to be in that Saturday, Sunday, Monday time frame. And snowfall, while not heavy, will cover a large area and bring us back into a winter pattern. Then as you see the cold air evolve over time, you can see that the colder air expands across Canada, starts to make its move south, and this is by the weekend, right there into early next week. And that colder air, this stops 10 days out, basically in towards the middle of next week. But we're likely going to see that cold air expand across the entire country mid to late next week, and it could have some staying power. And this is the 10-day snowfall forecast for the lower 48 in Canada. So you can see there's a lot of winter weather all of a sudden that will spring into life late this week, this weekend, and next week over a large part of the U.S. So the mild into the air will change into a much colder pattern for the beginning of the new year. We'll have an update for you tomorrow. Have yourself a good Tuesday.